Hello everyone. Start of a new day, a new painting. We're going to be painting a scene of England. This is Shoreham, which is in Kent, and this is where the Battle of Britain was fought, which of course no German army or Russian army were ever on the ground in England, but in the air. And as a result, these fields were covered with airplanes after the battle. So anyway, it's a historic spot and a beautiful place to hike and walk, as you can see from the mountains in the back. So we're going to work a little bit on sky and playing with that. And I have gone ahead and put some yellow down and then splattered some mask. Now the very fine mask I splattered with a toothbrush. The bigger mask I put with a, just splattering with my brush. Now we've got some things that we can do to make it better. So I've already gotten the splatters off up here. You can see this one, it's not good. So now's the time to take it off. Be very selective about where your mask is and what it does. This guy's too big, he's coming out. This guy's too big, he's coming out. So then we've got some other issues, like this is not a shape of a flower. I'm gonna take it out. This one too, it's too drippy. I'm gonna take it out. Oh good, it broke away. This one is okay, this one is not okay. So, and I've used the side of my brush. I used a number 14 Richardson, this is a Kolinsky Sable, and I scraped along the side of my brush, which is how I got these white spots in here. And then when it was dry, I came back and did it again. So this gives you more of a texture, even though it's just yellow. And as you can see, we're gonna come in here with the green anyway. So I'm just looking at these dots. These two look a little bit big to me. So you can see that one there, yep. Okay, so I want them to be more natural, and I think we got it pretty well. So I came in and scraped back the dots here because the field really stops there. Okay, and let's get those odds and ends off. But there are some little yellow dots up here, which hopefully will show. All right, so the next thing I did was mix some yellow and blue. So these are both Nicolazo yellow. Lemon yellow would work as well. Hansa yellow would work as well. This is French ultramarine. This is cobalt blue. And they both make fine greens. So I don't know. You could go either way. Any blue will do. You could even use manganese. It'll give you a very different green. So I think I'm going to go with the French Ultra, even though that's a lovely blue and a lovely shade. And I try not to use cobalt blue. This is cobalt blue hue, which means there's no cobalt in it anymore. They've outlawed that, which is a good thing. So let's start with the sky and the hills. And I've drawn in my houses and I've put light pencil marks in there to remind me, don't paint those. Okay, because I don't want them to be blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lightly wet my sky and mountains. Well, they're really hills. This is England. There aren't any mountains in England, so to speak. All right. I think I got it. All right, so I want to cool the French ultramarine, purple it up just a hair, and the other colors I'm going to be using are burnt sienna and burnt umber. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of burnt sienna in there, which is going to dull it. Okay, and oh, you see how the paper is warping? There's a way to fix that. I'm going to put water on the back. That'll flatten it out. So the paper sits the way we want it to. Yeah, the magic of watercolor is the water. All right. Run business. Okay, so we have our French Ultra mixed with just a hair, well, maybe more than one hair, of Sienna. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle my brush along there to get the tops of the clouds and the bottoms of the clouds. Don't make them regular. They shouldn't be regular. All right, come in with a little bit more oomph at the top there. And I'm painting right into the mountains. Got a little bit strong there. So clouds are darker on the bottom. And they're actually grayer, duller. These are cirrus clouds, so they're kind of flat. All right, so to protect the whites, I'm not going to use a paper towel because paper towels now have that texture. I'm using a Kleenex, and it doesn't have any aloe or anything in it. And I'm just going to soften these edges and dry it a little bit so it doesn't alter its shape too much. That one's got kind of straight. Yeah, this one got kind of. So there's our clouds over Shoreham. Give that a try. And I'm going to lift the blue here too, because that tree, although it's got a little bit of, well, no, it doesn't. Okay, I think we've got it. Now the paint is setting up. I'm going to leave my number 16 behind for a while. Although I could come in, well, let's get those mountains in. So now I'm coming in with a number 6. And I'm mixing burnt umber with the blue. Just giving me a very kind of grayish blue. But I want these hills to be fairly far away. Oop, too wet. Well, let's just dry it a little bit, very lightly. Because I want that edge to be irregular. Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, so, and then I'm coming in with a mixture of the French Ultra and the yellow. Heavy on the French Ultra, so it's a bluer color back there. you're going to make it lighter in spots. I'll make those into trees. So when you put a color on top of another wet color, it pushes that color away. So let's drop some yellow in there. Move that along, that got pretty big. I like that fuzzy edge in the distance. It says you can't really tell what's here. I'm just going to put some little yellow lines in there. Moving on to the next mountain. This actually comes down here. Needs to be a little bit stronger. Throw a little more color in there. Now this is French ultramarine, so the nice thing about this as opposed to cobalt is we can lift it if we choose. All right, we've got all these shrubs in here. Give this a little bit of shape here. All right. Here I am with my Kleenex again. This one got way too big. I'd rather have it be too light than too dark there. That looks kind of cloudy. Good. Okay. So let's come down now. And I'm going to go back to, while that's setting up, I'm going to come down to the field, and it's the blue and yellow again, but this time it's heavy on the yellow because I want that nice greeny color, and I am going to use the side of my brush, and you can see how it creates that. And this is a soft-haired brush. I'm not going to touch that again. Two big spots. Needs to come over. I am going to put a little more yellow in there. Let's create a little bit of a line. So that was my 16. I'm going back to my 6 now and just using the side of the brush. I want the yellow spots to show, which means I've got to cover up some of this. And this field kind of goes down here. Should do it. We'll see how it comes out. We can come back in and splatter color on top of this. So one nice thing is by dragging the brush, if you look over here or look at this, this is a more flowery shape. That one got kind of big. Let's fix that. Not drippy, but gives a sense of something growing, some plant there. And we can come in and emphasize that once it's dry. Okay. So our fields back there are setting up pretty well. We'll have some detail we'll put in later, but right now we're just going to let it sit and we're going to come in with the trees. So I'm still making puddles with my French ultramarine and my yellow, and I've got this tree right. Oh, that would have been awful. Start defining our little buildings. This comes over here. So this yellow field is rapeseed, is what it's called, like in rapeseed oil. We need to, let's do this. Let's get some yellow up in there. This needs to follow the line of the, comes down in front of this, but behind this one. Let's take some of that dark blue and drop it in right now. And then we have a mostly yellow tree up here. want it to feel like trees, but it's not the most important part of the painting. Some yellow in there, that's going to push the other color away. So we're starting to get a focal point over here. Let's keep going. Working on these houses and these buildings. We want them to feel nestled in the greenery. Some darks in there. Some darks in there. Some darks in there. So far we've really only used 3 colors. We've used just 4, and that's all we're going to use. That's all we're going to use. Having a lot of colors on your palette is a great thing, but you don't have to use all of them. There we go. And then down here. Break that up. High contrast, a lot of darks and lights on these trees. All right, we got to get back here. Pretty wet in there, but I am going to lift a little bit of that yellow. Got pretty strong. I'll just put that right over here. So this is at the peak of summer, or very, very late spring. Okay. So, here's our first shot at the burnt sienna. And I want to do it very sparingly because I'm going to use that on the rooftops and the houses. But I do want to tie it in with the foliage in the landscape. Okay, we got one nestled house. What have we got here? We got this guy coming down. Okay. Over here to the top of this little guy. Let's get a little more of that brown in here. And this is pretty straight up green. Now I'm painting behind the trees that are in the front row here by the hedge. Okay, what have we got there? I don't know why I'm worrying about this so much. Dark dip in there. So we want to create some depth. That's all we're trying to do. These are up closer so we can detail those a little more, but these we want to stay back. Let's come over here with that French Ultra. Not the French Ultra, the Sienna. All right, these need to stay behind the hedge. Bit in there just to break that up. What a lovely place to live. I would get nothing done. Absolutely nothing. Sit in awe of the beauty. That is England. So I feel like we've got some layers here. We could have a little more layering over here. Let's get a little bit dark in there. Break up that space a bit. That's good. All right, we've got houses down here. And we've got some pretty well-defined trees. I don't know about this white. I think I'm going to soften it. It looks a little phony to me. I don't mind little flecks of it, but okay, we still got these guys over here. And we have the edge of the field and the end of the so we've got that. We need to put this other field in so we can come in and decorate it with plants. And I don't want it to be solid green like that. I want it to have a sense of growing different things and feeling different ways. So I'm going to take from my puddle different amounts of yellow and different amounts of green. Maybe even some water. Front field there. Okay. Don't want to blossom. And that's going to blossom too. Let's just go in there again. Just get these shapes started up. Let them run in because they're gonna be more defined in a minute anyway. All right, I think it's time to put in these big honkers over here. And then we'll put in the hedge. And then we'll put in our houses, and we'll lift up our mask and do our detail, and we'll be done. All right. We've got our yellow and dark up here. Let's put a little yellow in. So there's little yellow flowers in front of this bush. We want them. We want that to show. This is going to need a little more definition, but I'm not going to fool with that right now. It's too wet. I think so much of watercolor is being patient. All right, we can come back and define this a little bit later, but we've got the shape in. What's going to happen if I do that? I think I'll paint the hedge and then come back. All right, so there's a little bit of light on the hedge. Let's see if this is dry enough. It's a little bit not quite set up, but I'm not going to worry about it. And even though the hedge is the darkest, there we go. It's a very dark line in the middle of everything. Oh, there's another hair coming out. Maybe it's the same one. It feels almost like a straight line, but not quite. I'm going to give it a little bit of breaking up, chopping up there. So now we have a sense of depth, hopefully. And along here, we have some bushes. All right, that's set up enough. I can go back in. It's too vague for something so close. All right, we'll let that dry and see how it comes out. Now we've got this green here. Yeah, we're just gonna let some water in there. I'm not even gonna use pigment. And I can come back and darken that later. All right. This looks like an orchard. Well, let's get this shadow in. So the last thing we'll do is come in and build the darks. Right now, we can put some roofs on houses. This one's kind of a light gray. Oh, we've got to shadow that house too. Well, we'll get the roof on first since we're doing that. I'm having a time with this brush. Oh, got it. This is no doubt one of the houses that in England and in America too, they add on over time. This has got so many gables on it. It's unbelievable. It's a cool place. It's a little dark, so I've dried off my brush. I'm just pulling color now, just lifting it. I want it to really... There we go. I think that value's right. This one over here is a bit redder. Some of that color bled down from the sky, but I don't think it matters. We'll come back and get this. Well, we could actually put it in and then just darken it. Let's see, we got 3 windows up there. portico down here. Come in and lift some of these pencil marks now. But I don't want to lift the shape lines because I need them. There's one. We can't do either of the others. Oop. We'll let them be. This one's kind of gray. All the way down. Looks really gray on my palette, but it comes out really brown. I don't know what this is. All right, let's come back in and push the hedge a bit. The line on the top is so small. All right, it seems to turn to me, so I'm going to let that be, but I'm going to come in and darken over here. It's a minor thing, but it may be important. All right, so we're going to put shadow on the side of the house, and we're going to do it, I think we're just going to do it in a little bit of blue. It's a little bit muddy on my brush, but so it's not clear blue, but it works. There. If I get too fussy with this, it's not good. Chimneys everywhere. So they have shadow lines and reflection lines as well. Let's take our really dark blue and put a couple of windows in. That could get darker. this is set up, we'll come back and get these houses built so we can come back and shadow them up. So I made them slightly cooler, hopefully, pushing them back. What do we got here? Oh, we can't go up to that yet. Well, we will. Just let it go. We're gonna have to put a roof on there. Normally I wouldn't get so nutty about things like this, but this is part of England, this detail. This house is obviously brick. Chimney there. All right. So now you can just go crazy with detail. And let me lift all this down here. See what we've got. So this is all very white, and I want it to be more yellow. So got some trees over here. I'll add those in, but this is the essence of it. I'm also going to come in